Hello and welcome to the gallery at Lakeland Community College. My name is Mary Urbis. I am the gallery director, exhibition curator, and I designed the installation here for the 13th May show at Lakeland Juried Art Exhibition. The show runs from May 18th through July 14th. The gallery hours are Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 9 p.m., Saturday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. We're closed on Sundays, and we're also closed on major holidays. What I'm going to be doing today is going to be walking you through the 13th May show. This year it was juried and judged for cash awards by Claudia Berlinski. Claudia is the director of the McDonough Art Museum in Youngstown, Ohio. And she started off with 500 entries, and we brought in 178 entries for an in-person jurying of stage 2. And then Claudia selected 78 pieces created by 67 artists that were created in a variety of media. We gave out $4,100 in cash awards, which brings our total since the show started in 2009 to like $52,000 in awards. So I'm very happy that we can do that because the entry fees do fund the actual awards themselves. Okay, as I start the exhibition here, this room, I kind of turned it into a room of landscapes and waterscapes and skyscapes. So the first piece here is created by Robert Wagner, Huntington Beach, October 2022, oil on canvas. Okay, this kind of diptych piece by Carla Guizello is Curly and Moe, and it's Raku-fired ceramics. And the added gift this time with the installation of this piece right here and the different lights hitting it, look at those yummy shadows. For those of you who have been listening to my videos and the walkthroughs before, you'll know how much I enjoy the happenstance, the happy accidents of the layers of the shadows. This next waterscape is created by Mary Bahan, and it's called Peaceful Easy, acrylic on canvas. And some of these pieces, many of the pieces are available for sale. You'll see a cell come up in the video of a barcode, and what you'll need is the identification number, the name of the artist, and the name of the artwork. You'll be able to purchase it securely through TouchNet on our website. You will be supporting the artist. The percentage that is taken from the artist's sale supports the gallery at Lakeland. So we thank you in advance for any purchases you might make in support of the artist and the arts at Lakeland. This is a photograph by Karen Alice named August, and Karen received a Jurors Award, a $650 cash award for this beautiful photograph of the reflections on the water. This ceramic wall installation was created by Beth Lindenberger. It's called Diatoms Charged. This is porcelain. And this is, again, another one of those wall installations that just when the light hits it and those cast shadows and they reinforce the protruding parts of her organic forms are just yum. That's all I can say. It's a beautiful piece. The way it's been lit, I think, just kind of brings out all the different aspects of this installation. This is a monoprint by Lisa Schonberg, and it's After the Storm. And this incorporates all kinds of techniques. It looks like some relief printing and some silkscreen printing. And within the silkscreen printing, she's getting some subtle split font techniques where you kind of ombre one color into another. And it kind of reinforces this whole corner of the waterscapes and the abstract shapes that those lacy pieces of, I don't know if those are coral or just underwater sea life or seaweed, but it's a beautiful organic composition. Okay, this piece of ceramics, this is white stoneware, was created by Pamela Runyon-Esch, and it's called Untitled Shades of Blue and White. Pamela is one of the many artists this year that are new to the May Show collection, so I'm very happy to see all the new artists that applied and were accepted this year, and the new artists that received awards also. So this year's show, I think, is a little bit different, it's a little bit fresher because it's not the same, it's not the usual suspects, it's a lot of new artists, and that's why I always encourage you to come out and to see the exhibition if you can in person. This is a diptych by Tracy Parsons, called Hydros Symphonic 1 and Hydros Symphonic 2. It's Oil on Board, and Tracy received a Jurors Award for her piece. I just want to make a kind of a personal note. She had made a comment on social media how before she got in that she had tried 6 times to get in, and I'm so glad that she persevered. Not only did she get in for the first time this year, but she won an award. And I just want to put it out to any of the artists who might be listening. You have a 100% chance of not getting in the show if you don't apply to the show. So, and sometimes a piece that doesn't get in one year can win Best in Show the next year, and that's happened 3 times already. So I just want to encourage artists to apply every year because you just never know what the juror is looking for. Okay, this landscape created by James Hall called Light Beyond the Hills is oil on canvas. And we first met James last year. That last year was the first year that he had entered the May, so it's nice to see his work. And I just love the vista view and the light coming from behind the clouds. This is a color photograph created by my colleague, Becky Grasser, Orange Groves in the Mountains. Becky actually teaches IT here at Lakeland Community College. She has taught some art and science and technology hybrid classes in the past. And this is such an interesting photograph for me because just the different textures and the grays, and then you've got the orange coming through the oranges, and then it's all kind of put together and framed by that blue Bar Harbor gray type of frame. So it's a beautiful photograph, and we don't always get a lot of photographs accepted into the May show, so this is a beauty. Okay, this next piece is a graphite and pastel piece by a new artist to the May show. His name is Jerry Smith. And actually, I just met Jerry Smith at Third Friday. He has work at the Gallery Plus space, and I think it'll be up through maybe the month of May. I'm not sure if it's going to be up through June. Oh shoot, we already had May, so it'd be up through June. But and he's another artist. Met him there, and I told him to apply to the show. He said he'd heard about it, never did, and I said, well, maybe it's the year, and obviously it was the year. Okay, this is an assemblage piece created by Gail Crum called The Awakening. It's made of wood, metal, ceramic, and plastic. I want you to notice how beautiful the cast shadows are. And Gail is probably one of just a few assemblage artists who I've been seeing over the years and who have seen their work develop and just soar. And the interesting thing is, sometimes the artists incorporate pieces into their assemblages that have a significance to them, like those are her baby shoes that are cast in bronze. But the headpiece that's on the top is actually the piece that her mother wore on her veil on her wedding day. So how cool is that she can incorporate that into her assemblage piece. Okay, these next 2 pieces are another new artist to the May show, Sharon Dundee. These are mixed media pieces. The piece on the left is XYZ, and the piece on the right is Crash. And it's kind of fun to have some pieces this year that are a little bit more abstract in nature. I know that there's words in here and there's some graphics, but we don't usually get that many pieces in that are abstract, non-representational accepted into the May show. So this is kind of nice and refreshing for this to be included this year. Okay, this is a sculpture by Conneaut area artist Ken Hetzel. It's called Nest or Sacrifice. It's wood, nest, and stone. And again, look at those marvelous shadows. And the fact of the photograph of this could be a piece in itself. You've got the different layers of the shadows and the different colors that kind of accent the nest and the little stones and the pebbles that are on the little platform. Okay, this is a mixed media piece on paper by Susan Kraus without a mathematical model. Susan is a regular exhibitor in the May show. She exhibits in my woman show. And it's just, again, it's a nice, colorful, fun, abstract piece. This next piece is Emily Glink, and it's called Playdate Mixed Media Collage. And this was included in this room as you're seeing the tour. This became kind of like the objects room that was intermingled with some of the a little bit more abstract non-representational pieces. But this is just kind of a fun piece and with the collage elements and how it kind of, you know, some areas it feels like you're going back in space, and then other areas it flattens kind of out. Okay, here it is, drum roll. Was given the Best in Show Award, a $1,500 cash award to Maxwell Miller, the journeyman. This is oil on panel. It is not a photograph. My graphic designer thought it was a photograph. The guys taking this video when they first saw it, thought it might be a photograph. This is a piece of super hyper realistic work. Maxwell is just an incredible artist, and he's been in the May show before, but this piece, when this piece arrived, it was one of those things, the minute I saw this, the light bulb went on in my little brain and said, this has got to be a prize winner, if not the Best in Show this year. And it's an exquisite piece. And again, this only reinforces why you need to come in and see the work in person, because when you see this piece, this painting in person, prepare to be amazed, because you will be. Okay, this assemblage piece, a photo assemblage piece, was created by Luann Boll-Becker, and it's called Worlds of Our Own Making. I don't even know where to begin to start on this one. There's so many cool elements, and the using of the images and the antique maps and the photographs and the pieces parts. And you'll see in some of the details that she's actually put images on the ceilings on each of the 3 rows there of the shelving unit. And it's just a, you know, nostalgia triggers and pieces parts, and it's a way, assemblage artists have a way of elevating mundane objects into high art. And again, this is just one of those fun assemblages that you keep looking at it and you keep finding things. Okay, this is a found object assemblage piece by Gwen Waite, Don't Call Me Baby. For those of you guys who have been paying attention, Gwen's been in many May shows and has won awards. She's been in many of my women's shows. She's working on a piece for my Skull and Skeleton and Art show, and she just has this way. She's got the sensibility and sensitivity to the materials and all the different pieces, parts, and puts them together, and you've got the contrast of the honeycomb underneath the glass and the bit of the chair railing and the rusty nails, and then the shadows of the chains against the wall. It's just such a fun piece. And she just recently had a solo show in one of the gallery spaces at the Summit Art Space down in Akron. So like I said, she's probably one of the premier assemblage artists in this area. I mean, and pretty much 3 of the top ones are here right now: Luann Boll-Becker, Gwen Waite, and Gail Crum. They've been doing these for years. And Gail's comment is when she's looking for a piece to put into one of her assemblages, and she calls her other artist friends who do assemblage work, and if they don't have it, they say, then you don't need it. If we don't have it, you don't need it. So again, this is just a fun melange of materials and surfaces and textures. This piece in the center was created by Gail Trunick, and this is another assemblage piece, Clay Found Objects in Paint. It's entitled Soar. But what's interesting about when Gail does her assemblage pieces is she found the rocket part, and then she created the ceramic piece to go with it. And that's what makes her a little bit different as an assemblage artist, is that when she's making a piece that has to fit on top of another piece, she has to take into consideration when she's making it that how much is it going to shrink when she fires it. And some of the work is pit fired, and so sometimes that's low fired pieces, but the gradations of the color that she was able to achieve, and then she kind of echoed it in how she spray painted the base of the rocket. Okay, this ceramic sculpture was created by Wes Cunningham, and it's called Victim of a Happy Life. It's one of the few ceramic pieces we have in the show, and I love the contrast of the figure and whatever's in its arms, but the surface of that chair and that ottoman, that chino surface that she was able to create, is absolutely stunning. And you know how much I love clay, so when this came in, I was happy to see ceramic sculpture entered, and then the fact that it was accepted. Okay, this is a little bit of a trippy kind of piece. This is a mixed media piece by John Blasey called Dichroistic Flow 3D. I don't even know where to begin on this. I mean, it's just such a, first of all, it's my favorite colors. The purple's on the outside. It looks like a iridescent lava flow. It's dichroic glass, and dichroic glass is a technique where I believe they capture chemicals or something between the layers of glass, and you get these colors that are just amazing. And it's just, again, this is one of those pieces you really need to see it to kind of appreciate it. And it is a bit of a bas relief. Those little ridgy pieces are actually coming out of the surface of the piece. By far, this piece probably is the most unsettling piece in the exhibition. This is a sculpture created by Violet Mainborg, and it's called Inescapable Self. It's silicone and fiberglass and more. She received a Jurors Award, and again, I don't know where to begin. She's got, this is just this incredible piece. And we've got beautiful shadows going on. The way it's hung, I can actually walk up to the face, and her eyes meet my eyes. Of course, she's got purple hair, which is a bonus for me. But just when I looked up some of the information about this piece, she calls it a human meatball. And it's got this crazy silicone surface, so it's kind of like a skin surface, and just between the open wounds and the body parts and the piercings and I swear the eye moves when I was walking, that it was following me, but I know it didn't. But this is just one of those crazy kind of pieces, and I'm so glad that we gave her the opportunity to show it to more people. And then I discovered that Violet is a recent graduate of the Cleveland Institute of Art. That's where I got my degree, so it's kind of nice to see a CIA graduate win an award and have the work shown so beautifully. Okay, this is another piece of assemblage art, mixed media. It's created by Raymond Bugelski, Nooks and Crannies. Again, this is, it's just like I want everything in this piece. I want this piece. It's just such a fun, every little cubby hole has its own little vignette, and every element. You know, you've got, twin babies and skulls, which is a score. People with eyeball heads, which is another score. You've got devils, ding, ding, ding. I mean, this is a winner chicken dinner for me. You've got a crucifix with a bird head and an eyeball that wants to hypnotize you, and there's a bowler next to a piece of a plastic steak. And then you've got, looks like the Virgin Mary next to a profile of a skull. So, and every piece is, like I said, it's its own vignette, and every wallpaper is different, and the ceiling is a little different. And again, this is just one of these fun pieces that you just need to take a couple minutes and take it all in. And it's just such a fun piece. These next two paintings were created by Patty Flauto, and they are acrylic on canvas. The piece on the left was called Curiosities, and Red Go Round 3 is the second piece. Patty is new to this collection, and you'll actually be able to see a piece of hers in the next art show I'm curating in the summer called the Big Ass Art Show, which will be extra large pieces created in ceramics. There'll be lots of paintings, wall pieces, there'll be some textiles, and there's even going to be a necklace that's about 3 feet wide. So I'm very excited to have Patty in the collection for the next show, but I'm happy to have her in the gallery for this show also. Okay, this is the lone piece of glass in the exhibition. It is enamel kiln-formed glass, and it was created by Betty Rozakis, and it's entitled Moltenous Spirit. And she pointed out to me that there is a face that's kind of integrated into the surface of this piece. And again, my guys are doing a great job doing the filming of these videos and the stills, but sometimes you really do need to come see the pieces with your own eyes, because these, you're seeing this on a pixelated surface, and this is a three-dimensional object that has a shiny surface. It looks like it's got some gold leaf flecks in it too. So, but it's a beautiful surface, and it's a very interesting piece of sculptural glass. This is a ceramic sculpture that was created by Robert Romeo, and it's stoneware, glazed stoneware, and the title is called Attention or the Lack Thereof. And again, this is one of those pieces you kind of need to see in person because of the way the glaze pulled and how it crystallized in some places, and the surface that he creates is quite an unusual, very tactile surface. Okay, this next artist should be very recognizable to art lovers, patrons, and artists in Northeast Ohio. This is artist George Kokar, and this is acrylic on canvas, and it's entitled The Wheel, and it includes some of his iconic imagery. He's a graphic designer. He worked at American Greetings. He's got the devil with the big nose. He's got the skull, and I bet you that's probably glows in the dark. He's got the guardian. He's got the Cleveland Indian. A little bit of everything. He's got the cat, the blue man. So this is just kind of a little bit of a different piece for him. And then you got the guy smoking up there with the purple smoke. Okay, these two pieces were created by M. Coy, and he goes by lowercase m and then uppercase COY. And they're both self-portraits. The one on the left with the blue says, self-portrait, am I good enough? And this is an illuminated shadow box. And what's coming up in the background are that you could see the figure holding what looks like a glass or tumbler, and am I good enough kind of is in the shadows in the back. And he's very good at making these unusual optical illusions. And you have the next piece, which is called Self-Portrait. I find myself staring out the window with the yellow eyes and the red sad mouth and the crazy hair. And I like the fact that with these two together, you see the difference in the color of the light, in the warmth of the light, and the one on the left is very cool, very blue, hence that's why he's got the blue accents, and then the one on the right is very yellow and very warm, and so he's got the yellow, the yellow parts of the eyes. So I think it's kind of a nice wall that came together with the two pieces, with the cool and the warm. Okay, this wall is kind of like figurative, kind of crazy colors, unusual compositions. So this first piece is done by Karen Mazel. Everyone's got a backstory, and it's collage and painting. And again, it's some of the pieces are the collage pieces, and then she's painted the figures. And I just have such a respect for collage artists, how they're able to order the space and make it work. If I try to do something like this, I don't think that I could be as successful. So I think this is a really nice collage piece by Karen. Okay, this next piece is a oil and acrylic on canvas by David King, entitled Merry-Go-Round of Fading Youth. And David's been doing some of these nostalgia centric paintings, and I don't know, when you see this and you think about the days when you had the hobby horses on the little spinning things, and then he integrates those wonderful iridescent kind of day glow colors that just pop, and all the layerings of the colors. So I just love that this is such a surrealistic looking landscape. Okay, the last piece on this wall was created by Jack St. John. This is a mixed media on canvas called Discussed and Decided. And it's kind of fun for me because I've known Jack for a few years. This is the first time I've seen him enter a mixed media piece. Further on in the show, you'll see a piece of his that's on paper, framed and under glass. So this is kind of a different color palette, and it just has a little different sense to it because it's painted on canvas. And I find that refreshing. Okay, this next piece is a ceramic sculpture by Donald Stewart, and this is called Bird Machine, and it's glazed ceramic and leather. And this is just such a fun piece for me. The fact that it's the component parts, it's the colors. When I first met Don, and he's been in the May Show before, he's won an award for his pieces, but now he's doing much more colorful pieces. And so this is just so fun with the bird and the black and white. things that are going from the two pieces are actually kind of like leather cords, and you get the idea that if you could crank that piece, it would make that bird go up and down. And I just love the colors and the fancifulness of it. And it worked so perfectly in this little vignette of an area. It echoes the yellow eyes of M. Coy's pieces. It echoes the circle and the Day-Glo colors of David King's piece. And then it's then the other side with George Kokar and the round of the wheel. So this is just one of those areas of the gallery where I just think everything came together so nicely and complements each other. This next gallery area was kind of designated as the figurative area. So this first piece is done by Randall Oldrive, and it's Journey to the Center, and it's actually fused plastic bags. And so you've got the graphics of the bags and the melted of the surface, and you kind of look at the face, and you know, it kind of looks like that self-portrait of William Shakespeare, but then it kind of looks like the artist himself. So it's just a fun piece, in the fact that he used recycled materials and melted the plastic bags to make his composition. I think it's just an interesting and a wonderful reuse of materials. Okay, this kind of crazy portrait that was painted by Timothy Heron is oil on canvas. It's after Floyd Longworth, and it was done by actual sitting. So Floyd did sit for Tim, and it's just such a crazy surrealistic piece. Floyd is actually a local artist who uses pop culture in his artwork, and just the way Tim created this composition with the swirling figures, and you've got the cat with the green eyes, and just all the different icons, and the crabs, and there's just so much going on here, and you've got the squirrel in the bottom left corner. I just love the colors. I love how it was rendered, and the background, and how it goes from flat to surrealist to representational to a figure. So this is definitely a wonderful portrait of Floyd. Okay, this next piece is an artist you should recognize from the area, Mark Giangaspero. This piece is a pastel on paper, and it's entitled Rita. And I love the fact that it's a black and white rendering that's done quite exquisitely. And then she's got the red coral around her neck and in earrings, as in contrast, a little bit on her lips. And then he made the frame and put the little bit of the red along the inside. So this is a spectacular piece. This is a large piece, larger than life size, which commanded its own wall. And I think the minute you walk into this part of the gallery, you'll be amazed. Well, you'll be amazed by everything that you'll see, but just how Mark is able to capture the figure and do such incredible hyper-realistic rendering is just, to me, very impressive. So kudos to Mark. Okay, this is another piece of Mark Giangaspero's, and this one won a Jurors Award. This is Judy, and it's pastel on paper, and this is actually a portrait of Judy Carducci, who is a Akron, Summit County area resident. And again, what I like about this, besides the fact that the hyper-realism, is that Mark chose to put the blue in her eyes and then just a little bit of color in the jewelry that she's wearing on her ears, the checkerboard, and the fact that the checkerboard is complementary colors. It's the orange and the blue. So this is, and that piercing, the piercing stare from those blue eyes are just incredible. And again, this is just one of those pieces. It's oversized, very intense, and you need to come in and see it with your own eyes if you possibly can. Okay, you guys should recognize the work of this next artist, Judy Takis. These are oil on panel and oil on canvas. Judy is a Cleveland Institute of Art graduate, and so the piece on the left this is a piece from the Goddess series, and so it's the Goddess Apollo. Oh, I'm sorry, it's oil on linen. And then and she's got the lyre and well, of course I love purple. So this is just such a beautiful composition. And then the piece to the right is called Persephone Kept in the Winter, and she's got some pomegranates in her hands, and the pomegranate seeds are kind of going off in the distance, but it's the contrast of the pomegranate seeds and how she treated the surface of the dress is just a beautiful surface. Okay, this next painting is created by Tricia Common. It's oil on canvas named Tracy's Space. And Tricia just recently won the Governor's Award in Columbus. We went down there last week for her to receive her award. It was an individual artist award that was given out by the governor. And she also has a studio in Murray Hill. And next weekend there is their art walk. And Little Italy was one of the first hubs in the area, art hubs in the area decades ago that started doing their annual art walk. So you can go to the Murray Hill School. That's where her studio is. You can see her studio. You can see some of the other paintings she's working on. You could see other people in the building. There'll be vendors all over the place, artisans set up. I'm sure there'll be all kinds of food, all kinds of fun activities. So it's a fun time to walk through the neighborhoods and the streets of Murray Hill on the first Friday of the month, and especially first Friday of June. Okay, this exquisite drawing was done by John Skavnicki, and it's called Rayland. It's Conte crayon on paper, and just, oh my gosh, just the whispered touch of the Conte crayon and how he was able to capture the tones of African American skin and without overdoing it or making it overworked, and just how it kind of fades away after all the details in the face and the glasses and the nose, and as you fade out to the hair and out to the rest of his body, it just kind of fades away. It's a beautiful drawing. Again, much better in person. Okay, this next portrait was created by Deborah Butler. Deborah is also a Cleveland Institute of Art graduate, and this is a pastel on paper called Josiah. And again, it's just beautiful, the tonalities of the skin and the reflections and all the different colors that were integrated into the flesh. And this is one of those portraits that just feels like it's going to come right off the picture plane and kind of walk off the wall. It's just very well done. This is also a pastel portrait. This is artist Lisa Hudson, and this is entitled Danny. And again, it's just, I am so impressed by how you artists are able to capture the tonalities of skin, the different temperatures, the different surfaces. And then when you're dealing with these kind of chalk pastels and the highlights and all that, I'm just so impressed. And this is just a beautiful portrait, a capture of a moment. This striking portrait was created by Cynthia Brewster, and this is pastel on La Carte paper, and this is called Lovell. And again, I love the integration of the black in the background, and then it's kind of echoed in the chain around the subject's neck. Just the capturing of the hair, the texture, contrast of the hair to the metal, to the clothing, to the surface of his skin. It's just so beautifully rendered. Okay, I injected this piece of Nancy Minter's oil on canvas. It's a non-representational kind of abstract piece that's entitled When Mother Nature Dances. And I just like the fact that where I located it or positioned it, you're picking up the red of the background of the piece to the left, and then you're picking up the ochres and the yellows of the piece to the right. So sometimes I like to inject a piece just to give your eye a break, just to kind of create a contrast, because when I design the walls, when I create the installation, I'm actually designing a visual storyline of the exhibition, and sometimes you need a visual break, and sometimes you just need something totally different that then helps you reset to what you're seeing next to it. And then again, if you look to when you look to the piece that was to the left, and some of the brush strokes of one piece are kind of integrated into the sensibilities of this piece. So again, this is just a fun piece, and then I love the day glow colors that are just popping off the surface of the canvas. This is a mixed media piece by new to the May Show artist Tony Skinner. It's called Malika with Yellow Shades. It's pastel, fabric, and charcoal. And I didn't realize it until I made the labels and put the piece up that it is a combination of rendering of the face, but some of the accents and the clothing are actually fabric that has been cut and collaged onto it. So it makes for a very unusual piece, and I love, again, the combination of the drawn-on rendered surface with the graphics of the dots and the spirals against the fabrics that were chosen and applied to the surface. Okay, this is a bit of a mixed media piece. It's a monotype and collage by artist Nancy Lick entitled Krisha. And Nancy just recently retired from teaching at some of her other colleges, and now she's going to be teaching full-time at my alma mater, the Cleveland Institute of Art, so congratulations. And I love this new series that she's been doing with the figures and the different surfaces she's creating, the different patterns and textures. Just makes for a wonderful surface. Okay, this is a little bit of an abstract piece, acrylic on jelly plate by artist Marianne Sedavi, and it's called Blue Jays Sing. And again, the reason that it's kind of in this grouping of pieces is it picks up pieces from the piece, from the piece to the left, the piece to the right. So again, there is a reason why each piece is placed next to each other piece. It's not just a random thing that I kind of throw it up together. I thoughtfully try and group things so that they create a storyline. Sometimes it's an actual thread, it's a visual, or it could just be a color. Okay, this next piece is by artist Sarah Curry. It's oil, ink, acrylic on panel, and it's entitled Fit to be Tied. Okay, this trio of ceramic sculptures was created by Denise Buckley, and it's entitled Lagasse, and it's in caustic over ceramic. And what she did is she created the figures, and then there's a ceramic surface, waxed and caustic surface over the top. And if you remember, she did 3 sculptures last year of busts of figures, and so this is I think another one of the series. And they just made a nice little intimate section in the corner here, and again the little cast shadows and the tilting of the heads is just kind of makes it for a very compelling grouping of sculptures. Okay, this final piece that incorporates a figure into the composition, this is Timothy Heron, and this is called Couch Potato, and this is from Live Sittings at Ron Johnston's studio. This is oil on canvas, but again, this is a crazy composition that Tim created and you've got the abstract and the creatures and the kind of surrealistic elements, and then you've got this wonderful figurative piece and integrating the figure and a portrait into a crazy surrealist kind of dream state. It's just to me it's just such a fun piece, and it's a fun nice addition to the collection of all the different portraits and figurative works that were accepted this year. Okay, this next painting is an oil on canvas. It's created by Kathy Simone. It's called Reflection on the Art Room Window. For those of you paying attention, you know it includes one of my favorite subject matters of a skull and a skeleton. And just putting it out there, the Skull and Skeleton show, Skull and Skeleton art, folk art to pop culture will return in September. And I think it's going to be the 7th or 8th incarnation. But this is a interesting painting with all the different reflections. And again, it has one of my favorite subjects. And then Kathy is the mother of Dan Simone, and Dan Simone was one of my gallery assistants extraordinaire. He was the very first person who ever did the videos for me. And Dan is an artist and a musician, so it's kind of fun to be showing his mother's work in the May show this year, and she has shown in the past. Okay, this is a landscape by James Leslie. It's oil on birch panel, River Run Serenade, and What's fun for me to have Jim's work included in the show is that when I first met him, he was a ceramic sculptor, and he's still doing ceramic sculpture, but for a few years ago, he decided to go back to his love of painting, and so sometimes he does pieces that are super realistic, and then he does pieces like this, which are a little bit more impressionistic in that you're not seeing every detail, but it's very expressionistic because of the color and the bold brush strokes. Okay, this is a sweet little painting. This is oil on canvas board by Jennifer New Year, and this is entitled Ironweed. Okay, this next piece is an oil pastel on paper created by Julie DeSenia, and Julie is a new artist to the May Show, and it's entitled Nam. And what I like about this piece, besides just being an oil pastel, it's a landscape, but the fact that she was able to highlight the deckled edge of the paper on the top and the bottom, and how you can see the surfaces and how she applied the different layers of the pastel to give you this kind of dreamy, beautiful landscape with it. And I love the high color contrast of the yellow orange. It's like, to me, I'm looking at that, it's like, are those a bunch of monarch butterflies? Are they flowers? Are they blooming trees? But it really doesn't matter. And I love the composition, and you've got the quietness of the limbs and the frenzy of the color. So it's a beautiful landscape. We finally got Ryn Clark to enter the May Show again. She'd been in some of our shows in the past, and I was so happy to see her work come through and then be accepted. This is a photographic composite entitled Peonies Everywhere. And this is just a beautiful photograph, and all the different layers and layers of imagery, and how dreamy it is with the flowers, and then you see the birds in the background. So you're seeing things way up close, but you're also given the impression of a vista view. And for me, this is like looking in a dream. This is just a beautiful conceptual, borderline surrealistic composition, and it's quite intriguing and very, very mesmerizing. You just kind of get sucked into it and I want to be beyond those flowers. I want to be beyond that outer rim to see what's beyond. Okay, these next two pieces on the shelves are carved white stoneware by artist Susan Gallagher. The one on the left is Passion Flower Grid, and the one on the right is Spring Flower Brick. And what I love about Susan's work is just how she carves into the surfaces and then adds color accents to it, and how she starts. It's kind of a limited color palette, but there's a part of me that would love to see these almost like a piece of paper put on them and do a rubbing, or use some of the surface to make like a relief print, because the way she carves away the background, it kind of reminds me of printmaking, of doing wood cuts, lino cuts, and the textures that she's able to create is quite beautiful. This little gem of a surrealist painting was created by Joe Stavik, and this is oil on panel, and this is titled This Was Not Unusual. Joe is a Cleveland Institute of Art graduate. Joe and I actually went to CIA together, and we went through the 5-year BFA program and graduated together in 1980. And I am just so glad that we reconnected a few years ago, and he's been showing regularly in the May Show. He's been showing regularly in my Skull Show, and I just love all the little details. He's got the little eyeball men and all the painting little dots. And again, this is one of those paintings that you need to come and look up closely and see all the details and just the whole dreamlike atmosphere that he's able to create. Okay, photographer Bob Herbst, he's also a new artist to the May Show this year. And these are hand-pulled photogravure prints. So the piece on the left is Rail Lift Bridge and I-90 Bridge. And again, I just love how he's able to capture the whole Rust Belt mentality, the Rust Belt imagery through the coloring of how he created the print itself. The second print is called Subway Level Detroit Superior Bridge. And again, some of us got a chance to see this level during one of the past Ingenuity festivals, where they were able to have people set up on that bridge. And there's so many beautiful bridges downtown, and I appreciate that he's able to share with us the beauty of the architecture and just the brilliance of the engineering it takes to make these bridges. This next piece is a oil on panel by Janet Stoll, and this is Turnips. Janet is another artist that's new to the May show. So I'm so happy to see new artists with fresh pieces. It just makes for a more exciting exhibition. This painting, Acrylic on Canvas by Tatiana Tate. What appeals to me is that it's such an unusual limited color palette. It's entitled Walden, Michigan, and it just gives you a different sense of time to it. It almost looks like one of those WPA paintings from the 30s or 40s, but it's contemporary. And I met Tatiana because she took my Business of Art class once, and so I'm so happy to see that she entered the May show. And like I said before, if you don't enter, you can't be accepted. So I appreciate that she made the effort, and I welcome her to this year's collection. Okay, this color photograph was done by Stuart Pearl, and this is entitled Sloss Pipework. And Stuart, a little bit background on Stuart, he's like the official photographer for the Artists Archives of the Western Reserve. Whenever they have their events, he takes photos, and you'll always see him walking around with a camera. So I've known Stuart for quite a few years, so it's nice to see one of his color photographs in the exhibition. Okay, this next painting is Acrylic on Canvas by Jen Florentine. This is entitled Spring is Here, and this is a nice, sweet little piece. Jen has exhibited with us before, so again, this whole hallway is kind of like landscape paintings. Some of them are very, very realistic, and some have unusual color palettes like this. And then you don't always have to have them rendered to the nth degree of detail to appreciate, the beauty of the flowers and the organic shapes. Okay, Jamie Morse is also back in the May show. Has exhibited with us before, and this is an acrylic on canvas landscape entitled Autumn Ridge. And I love the fact that he's working off of the turquoise blue painted ground and the vibrancy of the color, and you get the feeling, this type of light quality that you see in the woods, where the light comes through and catches the trees and the surfaces of the leaves just at the right time, the right spot. And you've got that orange color, which is a beautiful contrast to the turquoise, and using the complementary colors to create such a vibrant, dramatic landscape is just so refreshing. Okay, this is an unusual collage piece by Patricia Schroeder entitled Southwest Winds, and I put it in the landscape area because of the color, because of the way the shapes lined up, where it gives you the idea of an ordered space of a landscape, but it also it's a collage with some unusual, fanciful elements to it, and it just makes for a fun composition. Okay, this is another piece by Jennifer Newyear. This is a ink watercolor gouache on paper entitled Night Rituals. And I just love this piece. It's a dreamy, ethereal kind of piece. I see this as a full moon rising behind the silhouettes of the trees. Then you've got the figures clustered together and the animal forms, and you're not quite sure what you're looking at, and you've got this limited palette where it's kind of foggy but not. So I just love the surrealistic, dreamy quality to this composition. Okay, this is a little bit different kind of photographic print. This is a lenticular print by Laura D'Alessandro, and it's entitled Moonscape. And think of it as an example of one of those flicker pins you had as a kid, where you move it and the image changes. You'll see some images integrated into the video where you can see how it goes from kind of a moonscape to the moonscape with the tree in the foreground. And it's just to me, it's just the nostalgia thing, and the fact that it's a lenticular print, and that it moves as it changes directions. That to me is just such a incredible memory trigger, and then it's a very unusual image. Okay, this is a photograph by Catherine McManus called Twin Flame, and I actually looked up some of her background. It turns out that maybe it was on social media, she was a student here at Lakeland Community College. So how kismet is it that it has come full circle, and she's now exhibiting into the gallery at Lakeland, where she probably exhibited when she was a student here. But this is a beautiful photograph of horses. Okay, this is a beautiful pencil drawing created by Lori Musser. It's entitled Overseer, and for those of you who follow me on social media, you know how much I love owls, and I really love and appreciate the detail that she put into this drawing. And to capture the face, you've got the beautiful feathers, and then you've got the foliage and the fauna and the living organic pieces that surround it. It's just a beautiful, well-rendered, very delicate portrait of an owl. Okay, this is a acrylic on canvas panel painting by Haley Cavada. And what I like about it is and I put it in this section because to me it kind of looked like it could be a rock formation landscape, it could be a stylized seascape, landscape, but I just loved all the textures and all the colors that she was able to create, all the different layers. It's just a nice collaged image. It's kind of a yin-yang, negative, positive print, but I love the drama of the piece, and then the colors and the textures just makes this a nice little gem of a piece. This is a cloudscape painting. This is oil on canvas by artist John A. Sargent III, entitled Procession. And if you're familiar with the May Show, you've seen John's work many times. He's won many awards. John is also one of my gallery installation assistants. I couldn't do it without him and Jeremiah Mrazek. I designed the show, and the two of them install them, and they just do a fabulous job of installing. And I've been a fan of John's work for a while, and I just love the cloudscape and how you kind of look up into this, and it's so ethereal, and you just kind of get lost in it. And then he's got the flecks of the white that kind of adds to the almost like the cosmos atmospheric effect that he's getting. It's quite mesmerizing. It's one of those, yes, I've looked at clouds from both sides now, but this is a beautiful cloud painting. Okay, we wrap up this fabulous collection of the 13th May Show at Lakeland with a graphite and pastel piece on paper, mixed media, and called The Spirits by Jack St. John. And again, I just love how Jack applies his paint, the color palette, the shapes, how he's got drawn shapes, and then uses the paint and the edge of the paintbrush to create the shapes. So you've got hard edges and soft edges, and again, it's just a great composition. And I'm glad that I could highlight it on a wall itself and light it so that you can get the best effect from standing back. So this ends the tour of the show. I hope you enjoyed my comments. I hope you were able to come see the show in person. You'll see a QR code at some point, and you can use the QR code, which will take you to the website so you can make purchases of pieces that are available. You can go to the website itself, which is lakelandcc.edu/gallery. You'll see a bar that says, purchase art or donate. You follow the prompts, and you'll go to the inventory. They'll take your credit card, they'll notify me, and then I'll call you to pick up your piece. So again, thank you for joining me today. Again, this was 78 artworks created by 67 artists in a variety of media, and I hope you enjoyed the show. Thank you very much for your time, and I hope that you come visit the gallery at Lakeland soon, and thank you very much. Have a great day.